Is Jon Jones going to fight Tom Aspinall? That's the question everyone is asking after this performance. We finally got to see Jon Jones fight this geezer. And you know, he had a dominant performance, took Stipe down easy, launched nasty elbows, controlled the entire fight until he finally landed a sniper of a spinning back kick to the body that shut down Stipe. It was a pretty good performance from Jon, but also a horrendous performance from Stipe that really showed his age. But I think very little people were here to watch the actual fight. Everyone wanted to see the post-fight interview and see what Jon would decide next. Well, we got the most non-answer in existence, the greatest of all time turning into a politician real quick. First, he deflects with Jesus Christ, which sure, that was to be expected. But then he says,
and if everything goes right, maybe we'll give you guys what you want to see.
Now notice how he says, quote, maybe we'll give you guys what you want to see. Not, I will give you the fight with Tom Aspinall, not even, I will give you the fight with Alex Pereira. Simply, maybe we'll give you guys what you want to see. This is in stark contrast to almost 2 years ago when Jon Jones was very clear with wanting Stipe Miocic next.
One thing I know about the UFC is we give the fans what they want to see. Stipe Miocic, I hope you're training, my guy.
I know for a fact that Jon chose these exact words very carefully, leaving the answer open-ended, just enough to justify a move that isn't Tom Aspinall and to gaslight everyone into thinking his next move is what everyone wanted to see. And it's pretty clear to everyone that he wants Alex Pereira or nothing at all. But hold on, let's go back to the beginning to see how we got here. So this fight was supposed to happen literally a year ago at UFC 295, but of course, Jon Jones tears his pectoral and like a true champion, Tom Aspinall steps in on short notice along with Sergey Pavlovich to fill in that fight as the interim heavyweight title match. And Tom delivers with a shocking KO over the scary Sergey. But with Jon Jones out for several months, and on top of that, Jon Jones adamant about still fighting Stipe in his return, in the time we were waiting for Jon Jones to come back, the hate and duck allegations for Jon Jones grew more and more. And it became even more intensified when Tom Aspinall was forced to defend his interim title against Curtis Blades because there was no way in the world he could wait for Jon Jones. So with the community rallying around Tom Aspinall and calling Jon Jones a duck, Jon Jones took to Twitter and stated his case for not going for Tom Aspinall. For one, he had a Twitter war with Tom Aspinall, reminding everyone that he is the GOAT and Tom Aspinall didn't have the resume to even compete, and that he and Stipe still had unfinished business. He also then opened the door for a potential match with Alex Pereira, claiming that that would be the most massive fight the UFC could make. Ay, ay, ay. And then in the build-up to this fight with Stipe Miocic, everyone was asking the age-old question at this point of whether or not he was going to fight Tom Aspinall, and every time he doubled or tripled down on calling Tom a nobody, saying he didn't have the resume to compete with him, and that a fight with Alex Pereira made too much sense. He even ducked an interview with TNT Sports because he knew he was going to get asked the question of Tom Aspinall. He's called Tom an asshole and someone he wouldn't do business with because of that, despite Tom being pretty respectful and reasonable with Jon Jones throughout this whole saga. It's not just frustrating for him, it's frustrating for every fight fan that the heavyweight champion won't fight the interim champion and is doing everything in his power to convince everyone that Tom is a nobody and the fight with Alex is the fight to make. And now you can see the power dynamics between star, champion, and promotion and how that creates the problems in politics we see in boxing. You can have a giant star holding the belt for hostage, and since fighters in the UFC are independent contractors and not official employees of the UFC, you can have these situations where the best can make business decisions based on what they want instead of what they should do. In every other sport, there is a tournament or a playoff that forces the best to compete with the best, but in fighting, you can often have these situations where athletes have so much leverage that they can negotiate and pick and choose their next opponents, and we're just seeing Jon Jones now taking it to the extreme. Like, imagine if basketball worked the same way. Back in 2021, the Suns faced the Bucks in the finals, but imagine if the bigger market team, the Suns, said, I don't really want to face the Bucks, a small market, dangerous team. I want to face another team that maybe is bigger in terms of popularity but less dangerous. It's kind of the exact same thing. So what does Dana and the UFC think of this? Well, surprising to me, considering how much glazing he does for Jon, he's pretty adamant that Jon should fight Tom as well. In the press conference for this fight, when asked directly if the winner of Jon Jones and Stipe should fight Tom Aspinall, he said that the winner should absolutely fight Tom for the undisputed belt, and well, you can see Jon's reaction here. Despite having so much Dana White privilege, it still didn't stop Dana from saying the truth. And from Dana's standpoint, I think he wants to continue to legitimize the interim belt and the promotion in general, as he has in the past criticized boxing for its politics and not making the fights that people want to see. And even in the post-fight interview after UFC 309, Dana has made it very clear that he will probably not be making the Jon Jones and Alex Pereira fight, as Alex would be decimated by Jon's wrestling. But again, he still opened the door to a possible fight between the two, saying that if they both hound Dana White and if the money is good, he could maybe make that fight. It could be one of those Conor McGregor-Floyd Mayweather situations where a couple years before the fight, Dana said that the fight would never happen, and then guess what? The money was right and the hype came in for that fight, and well, it definitely paid off for Dana. And speaking of money, how much money would it take for Jon Jones to fight Tom Aspinall? Jon has also expressed that he would fight this quote-unquote nobody if he was paid fuck you money. He also expressed in this interview that he wanted to be paid like Jake Paul in the Mike Tyson fight. Now, Jake Paul was reportedly paid $40 million in that fight, while even Mike Tyson took home $20 million. Meanwhile, Jon Jones at UFC 309 took home $6.2 million reportedly, which includes both guaranteed fight purse, which was $2 million, and pay-per-view buys, which also added another $4 million on top of that. So it seems like for Dana White to book the Jon and Tom fight, we're looking at Jon probably getting at the very least $10 million guaranteed, and the pay-per-views to get Jon another $5 to $10 million. The question is, are those numbers going to be met realistically? And the answer is I think they can. According to Sportster, the highest guaranteed fight purse belongs to Brock Lesnar when he got a huge payout of $8 million guaranteed to return for UFC 200 and fight Mark Hunt. So if Dana was able to pay out Brock Lesnar $8 million in 2016, I honestly think that Dana is capable of putting down at the very least $10 million guaranteed for Jon Jones to fight Tom. I've also seen estimates that UFC 309, one of the shittiest cards, if not the shittiest, did close to 1 million pay-per-view buys, with some estimating 1.5, which I don't believe, but it probably did great numbers with Jon Jones and Stipe headlining. So I don't think it would be wild to say that Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall, especially with the beef and drama surrounding this fight, would do 1.5 million pay-per-view buys at the very least, which would mean Jon, along with his guaranteed 10 million, let's say, would do close to the $20 million mark, which in my book would constitute fuck you money. But even with this offer, I still don't think Jon Jones would take that fight with Tom Aspinall. Again, with all the comments he has made about Tom Aspinall, especially with him saying that a fight with Tom does nothing for his career and that he doesn't want to fight just some dangerous up-and-comer, it's clear that unless Dana gives him Mark Zuckerberg money, Jon Jones won't take this fight even if it crushes a Brock Lesnar number. So with a slim chance that Jon Jones fights Tom Aspinall, the more important question is, what does this do for Jon's legacy? Even if Jon somehow weasels his way into an Alex Pereira fight and wins, I think the ducking of Tom Aspinall has seriously tarnished his legacy. Look, Jon Jones is easily the greatest of all time, and with the win over Cyril Gane back in March of last year, I think he extended the gap between him and whoever you have in second place. In my opinion, George St. Pierre. But I think if and when he does retire without fighting Tom, that will be his lasting legacy. And they say everyone only remembers you for your last performance, and in the case of Jon, everyone will remember him for the last performance he should have had. On top of that, the numerous failed drug tests and the belt strips for whatever reason, there's going to be a lot of asterisks to his GOAT status. Unlike other GOATs of their respective sports, I think there's a lot of room for someone to overtake Jon as the GOAT, especially now that he will probably duck the interim champion. And personally, if he took Tom and lost, I think he would be looked in a better light than if he retired and never fought Tom. Volkanovski is a great example of someone taking the young killer, getting knocked out, and still being seen as one of the greats. I don't think the loss to Ilya really affected Volk's legacy, even with such a devastating knockout. I think a lot of people still have Volk as their featherweight GOAT and top 10 and arguably top 5 of all time. Time defeats all, and I don't think a loss to Tom would affect Jon's GOAT status as much as a clear duck would. But again, with this duck, I think this leaves a lot of room between him and everyone else. I personally think that Islam Makhachev, if he continues his dominance, can be the GOAT with this new opening at the top. Say he defeats Arman a second time, Charles a second time, and Ilia Topuria when he moves up, on top of having Volk twice and Dustin Poirier. He would have 6 title defenses, a crazy resume, and would basically lap the division. Shit, add a possible move up to welterweight and a successful move up to welterweight. In my opinion, he would have the highest chance of being a GOAT and toppling Jon Jones. So in summary, unless Jon Jones gets a billionaire bag, I don't think this fight's going to happen, and this is going to seriously tarnish Jon Jones' legacy. But what do you guys think? Is Jon Jones going to fight Tom Aspinall? If he doesn't, is he still your GOAT? Is there a lot of room for a lot of other people to take over as the UFC GOAT? I don't know. But again, thank you guys for watching, always supporting, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.